Ready for the excuse of the week? This ties in, by the way, to our guest, John Yin Chang, that we had on the show last week. But why don't you go ahead and tackle this one?
Okay, so excuse of the week, quote, I'm not good at numbers. All right. Student missed a sufficient assumption question with a passage saying X's price went down while Y's price went up. So Y must be more expensive. Oof. Yeah, the thing about this question and all the questions really on the LSAT is that the math they're testing is pretty basic. Um, if you have a price, if X is, let's make this a little bit more concrete, right? If the Tesla's price went down while the Toyota's price went up, it could still be the case that the Tesla is more expensive than the Toyota, even though Tesla's price went down and Toyota's price went up.
Oh, but I'm not
So,
good at numbers.
well, you better be good at these numbers or look elsewhere. I mean, lawyers, they have to understand what is going on a basic level.
Yeah. And, last week on the show, we had John Yin talking about how getting your taxes filed is important for immigration law.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a certain type of LSAT student that really makes me nervous. The ones who are, I hate math, and it's okay. You don't have to love math. But if you respond to an argument like X's price went down and Y's price went up, therefore Y must be more expensive than X. If you respond to that with oh, I'm not good at numbers. Oh, that's math. I don't do math. It's a lazy excuse for not figuring out an issue that a junior high kid, literally a junior high kid, could figure out. You got 4 kids, Ben. If you started from the oldest and worked your way down, at what point do you think they would fail to answer that question correctly?
Well, that's a good question because sometimes I ask them questions and they clearly cannot see the answer and it shocks me. But then there are other times where we're talking about some math stuff and they're like, oh, yeah, well, that would mean this. And I'm like, what? Like, you understand that? So I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident, especially if we replace the X and Y with like known entities,
Or
they
not
would
even
get
a
it.
known entity, though, right? Like, so if you said to them last year, I guess X's and Y's can be a little bit intimidating because it seems like algebra. But what if I
Yeah.
gave it a name? Like what if I said the Xavier brand of car went down in price last year, while the Yolanda brand of
Dude,
car went
those
up?
are the same names I had in my head. We must be brainwashed by the
Well, Xavier and Yolanda,
LSAT.
yeah, those have
Yeah.
been used on the LSAT before. But if you
Yeah.
said, the Xavier brand went down in
Yeah.
price and the Yolanda brand went up in price, therefore the Yolanda brand must be more expensive. I
Yeah.
just got to think that smart junior high kids are going to be like, well, wait a second. It depends what price they were to begin with.
Yeah. Well, my youngest is in second grade, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just got that in a second. So
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about what's going on here as you were talking, and I do know that there are a lot of people who, um, they get burned by math in school somehow, and then it's like they kind of shut down. I
Right.
think anything that feels mathy, they instantly say, like, they put up a wall. They're like, "Oh, I can't do that," and like you said, it's an excuse, right? This is excuse of the week. Um, and it's unfortunate because it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know where that idea got put in your head, if it's your fault or someone else's fault, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you always put up that wall, you'll never have the chance to exercise your math muscle. And this is a really basic math idea.
It's not even math. It doesn't even require you to do any calculations. It's just common sense, you know? And so I think the reason why this is a good excuse of the week is that people just have to stop throwing up that wall. You're preventing yourself from seeing things that are just really basically common sense. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
This is you could say this falls into like testing your idea of relative, right? Relative claims or
yeah.
things are more expensive or less expensive. And are you gonna just throw up a wall for all of those sorts of things? Because that's all this
Well,
is.
also, what are you going to do in legal practice? I mean, when I talk to, there's contexts where I always go back to immigration law because I know, I have Cole Black, my immigration law buddy, but there's times where she's going to make a case that this person is economically necessary for this company or what, that like this person brings extra value and that's why this person should qualify for a work visa. And it's like she sometimes has to do a little bit of basic math for that. Like she's had to sort of research and learn about cryptocurrency, or she's had to compare, it's like if you work in family law, there's times where you're going to have to do a little bit of accounting.
Oh, I can actually, now that you're talking about it, I can't think of an area of law that does not require some basic math. Think about it. You get divorced, you're splitting up assets. You got to be able to like calculate some of these things. And some of it's going to be present value of future stuff. If you are negotiating a deal between companies, you have to be able to do some basic math. If an employee is taking time off and needs to figure out, calculate how many days they can take off, that requires some basic math. I mean, what area of the law is not going to be touched by addition and
Yeah.
subtraction?
Well, and it's not just the math thing also, because people just use math as they like, it's a catch-all for like if taxes come up, or let's say stocks and bonds come up, dividends come up, it's like they lump this into like, oh, that's for other, my brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Well, then you're not gonna be a very good lawyer if you can't sort those issues out for your client. I mean, lawyers are presumed to be able to learn anything.
Yep.
And there's gonna be times you're gonna be surprised, but you're gonna run across a tax or accounting or finance, or you're gonna run across those issues more like every day. You're gonna run across those issues if you start actually really practicing law. So it just sets my teeth on edge when I hear people just go like, ooh, yeah, no, I don't know anything. Ah, boy, dividends. Ah, no, I
Yeah.
can't. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you better hang in there long enough to learn about. Oh, profit. What's profit? I don't know about, but ooh, revenue and
Yeah.
expenses. Oh, and they just bounce off everything that's even tangentially related to economics. But it's like, uh, law is about money like 9 times out of 10. And you're just gonna just decide you don't understand any of those issues. It ain't gonna work out for you.
Yep.
Okay. That's excuse of the week. You can email help@thinkinglsat.com or hit us up on social @thinkinglsat if you would like to propose an excuse of the week. Maybe you heard your study partner make some excuse, or maybe you've caught yourself making some excuse for not getting a question right. You can submit that to excuse of the week so we can skewer it on the show.